Hello, hello, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu pakhair agale ni hauma chune shumme washmale hai gunzaimas. Hi, hugs and hellos to all those beautiful, amazing people who are tuned into PT World, PT Global, and are watching World this morning alongside Shahzad Khan. I hope everybody's perfect. They are doing superb. And for all those people who are about to leave for their workplace or school, college, university, please make sure that you drive safely, wear your seatbelt. But on another note, what I wanted to discuss today was while I was traveling towards my workplace, I was like, dude, how many times do I literally think that, this is what I want to achieve in life, but then I just don't pursue it? I mean, everybody has got their own goals. Everybody has got their own personality traits as well. But then at times, whatever we want to achieve in life, we just lack the initiative because of the fact that we think, what if we fail? I mean, it's not a big deal. The only thing which you need to do is just get up, get ready, show up, and be there. And inshallah, you will achieve it. But before doing that, I mean, if you think that there's a bit of risk involved in whatever you want to pursue or you want to achieve, just discuss it with all those people who are out there. Now, today is a very special day. It's 21st of September. It's the International Peace Day. We'll be talking about it because this year's theme is quite different. Now, this year's theme say that all these sustainable development goals are the building blocks for peace. Now, what is peace? Is peace having no conflict? Is peace having a bit of conflict, or probably having your own opinion, or probably you can differ from each other's opinion? Is that peace? Now, there can be quite a lot of different examples of peace as well, and definitions which might be very generic or specific, but we've got a small video to share with you guys, and it is definitely in relation with the International Peace Day. So today, ladies and gentlemen, it is International Peace Day. We are celebrating it, we are observing it, we have got our panelists over here in the studios, but I need to share this rap video with you guys first of all, which is going to give you a lesson of what peace is all about. Good morning.
Sustainable development goals. Let's get to them, cause the more you know. Look, in some corners of the world today, people are living on $1 a day. Hey, that's not how it ought to be. So go one, eliminate poverty, and go two, root out hunger across the globe. There's 800 million people hungry if you want to know. Number 3 is health and well-being, and getting people the health care that they need in. Learning in school are the hard to go for. Education opens up minds and doors. Goal number 5 is empower girls and women so they can have the same rights that men are given. Number 6, people need water that's clean. Poor sanitation can spread disease. Carbon-free energy is goal number 7, and how to achieve it is a question that's pressing. But if we put our minds together and work hard, we can find a solution, I'm guessing. Now imagine that you work all day for no pay. Economic growth and decent work is goal 8. Goal number 9 is to foster innovation in infrastructure and industrialization. Goal number 10, inequality reduction. 11 is sustainable city construction. 12, well, that's sustainable consumption, so what we use matches up with production. Goal 13 calls for urgent action to combat climate change, cause we know it's happening. 14, protect life under seas. 15, protect life on land. Goal 16 is for peace and justice. All over the planet, they're in high demand. And the final goal, number 17, is the critical factor, the heart of the machine. It's the strength in the way we achieve these goals of sustainable development around the globe. Yo, 17 sustainable development goals to improve life all around.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so these are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals which were unanimously adopted by the 193 member nations of the United Nations indeed. But then at the same time, all of these 17 Sustainable Development Goals are actually to be achieved by 2030, which means that we are only left with 14 years precisely. Now, are we able to do that? Or do you think that we'll be able to do that? Do you think that we have the capacity to do that? But on another note, what is very essential is whether, is it correct to link all of these sustainable development goals with peace or not? Or can we be able to achieve peace with the help of these sustainable development goals? Because this is what the theme says, that the sustainable development goals are the building blocks of peace. Now, we have panelists with us over here, they belong to all walks of life and they'll share their opinion, and let's see what do they have to say within this context, because today we are observing, celebrating International Peace Day. And with me on my right hand side, we have got Ms. Maliha Hussain, who's human rights activist or probably Executive Director, Mehergar. Hello ma'am, Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming over, lovely to have you. Alongside Ms. Maliha, we have got Mr. Bashir Malik, sorry. I'm literally sorry for that, but I think my producer didn't write it right. But Bashir Malik Saab, who's the chairman and founder of Ben Khudda Foundation. Thank you very much, Bashir Saab, for coming over. Alongside Bashir Saab, we have got Umair Qureshi Saab, who's an educationist. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
How do you feel to be back on the show?
It's good.
It's good. Oh, that's high. Oh, it's good. Thank you very much for coming over once again. And alongside Mr. Umair Qureshi, we have got Kamachima Saab, who's a professor, he's an educationist himself. So guys, let's get started with the conversation. International Peace Day. Okay, what does it highlight for you, or what importance does it carry for you?
I think if I think about the Peace Day, for me the important thing is to sit back and celebrate.
Okay.
Think of all the things that we have been able to accomplish so far. If I look back a few years ago,
Yeah.
even, where were we and where are we today? So I think it's important that we celebrate each and every achievement that has brought us at least on the way to peace.
Very great. Bashir Saab, what does it signify for you?
Yes, for me, I'm from development sector, so I would say that a peace has a link altogether with all these sustainable development goals.
Okay, but how can we link all of these sustainable development goals with peace? Because peace can be from within. We do not need clean water or anything else to actually be peaceful.
Yeah, as you said, clean water. If I don't have a good health, if
Yeah.
I'm not enjoying a good health, so I'm not peaceful. I'm not peaceful at all.
Obviously.
So this could create so many other things.
But on a very macro scale, I think this does make sense. Sir, anything you want to add on to?
So when we talk about these goals, these sustainable development goals, education, being an educationist, I talk about education.
Sure.
That for sustainable development and peace, education plays a vital role.
Okay.
So we have number of examples, like people normally talk about the conflicts and then the peace.
Yeah.
So this year when I was in a conference, somebody asked me that how we can bring peace, like there's U.S. presidential election going on, and one of them, like Donald Trump, is saying so many offensive things about the other communities. So I always say that this is not about Donald Trump, it's about the education system. So if your education system brings tolerance and empathy in the society, your society develops as peaceful.
Okay.
So yeah, it's one of the most important part of developing peace.
And I think today when we are celebrating and we are observing
Yeah.
International Peace Day, I don't think that we need to talk about all those people who have been offending us with their offensive remarks as well.
Yeah.
Chima Saab, what is your take on peace? What is peace itself?
Peace is an absence of war.
Absence of war.
You simply can say that this is how we enjoy. I think peace is about to have a positive peace.
Okay.
I would, since I'm from academia and I'm teaching Department of Peace and Conflict Studies in Namal, we consider that there is a positive peace, there is a negative peace. A positive peace is the one that is inherent into any society.
Okay.
That is part of the structural system of the of there. For instance, we go to Scandinavian countries, we'll find that if there is no cop standing there, we need not to worry about that.
Yeah.
And if there is a cop standing outside there, there is a lot of threats, there are a lot of, that is a negative peace.
Okay.
So the real peace comes when there is a positive peace in the society, state, and everyone that is a part of the community that believe we have to move forward with the peace. And I think we are moving towards that peace with the passage of time.
And I think we have always been a very peaceful nation as well.
Yes,
I think
we
I
are.
would love
We
to
are.
say that over here on national television.
Yes.
And I'm not just making it, but ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest, Pakistani nation has always been very peaceful, and people are always, for all those people who travel to our country, or for example, if our people go to other countries, they're always in love with us. And it's just because of the fact that we guys are too smart. I mean, it's all right. But ma'am, on how many different levels can we talk about peace? Can
Well-
it be inner peace? Can it be on level or on a scale of society, governance? Let's talk about that.
Everywhere, yeah. I think I always start talking about it from an individual's perspective.
Okay.
Am I at peace with myself or not?
Yeah.
Because there are always conflicts even within a person, and it's important to look at them and to try and resolve them. Because unless and until you have inner peace, you can't talk about peace around you.
Yeah.
So that is where I would start, and then peace in the family is also very important.
Yeah. I mean, having two
yeah.
wives is obviously a problem.
Definitely.
yeah.
But even with one wife, what sort of a relationship do they have? What sort of relationship do they have with their children?
Yeah.
Are the kids fighting with one another, or do they like to play together
Yeah.
and be at peace? Knowing everybody in your family and then respecting them, not only the elder people in the family but also the children.
Yeah.
Looking at their likes and dislikes and what do they want to do, and considering them as equal citizens, equal.
Okay, so
equal
first
in
it's on a
every
very
way.
personal level, then it's on a family level,
Family
then it's on a
level,
community
and
level.
then in the community. And when we get to the community, there's so many different things to look at. Yes, peace,
There's so much
like
ethnicity going
water.
on. There's so much
Yes,
segregation.
that's
I
what
think we
I
need
was
to
going
point
to
out
talk
these
about.
things as well.
Yes.
But we will definitely, we will point out all of these things as well. But right now, I think what we need to do is that we need to pick up on the sustainable development goals one by one. Now, how do we think that we are going to achieve all of these sustainable development goals in the next 14 years? Because it's just 14 years left for us. 2016 is going to end in, I think, in two months' time or 3 months' time. So, Bashir Saab, starting from you, no poverty. How do you think that there can be no poverty? I mean, if there hasn't been this, I mean, I think there's a dilemma attached to this thing, because there are people who want this segregation within the system. They want the middle class, they want the lower class, and they want this elite class as well. And for all those people who are rich and famous, and if there's somebody entering into their class as well, they try to push them away. How do we get rid of them? So how are we going to eliminate poverty from our country?
Thank you. I would say that we as a nation, Pakistan, we failed to achieve the goals which were set for 2015, and now is another 14 years, 15 years. I'll focus health first,
Okay.
and then I will focus on
Okay, good health and well-being is there in the
this is
sustainable
very, very
development goals
important.
as well.
And
So
then
let's discuss that.
When it's a health, then you have to see where the majority of your people lives. They live in rural. So the rural health, that had been neglected by all the decision makers for many, many years now. So if the health is taken care by the state, either the civil societies, they should focus the rural area for the health, number one. And the second thing I will say is providing them the jobs. But normally people look for the jobs towards the public sector. I will recommend that let the entrepreneurs, rather social entrepreneurs, come into the scene.
Okay.
And they come rather in a big way with lots of ideas, and then the impact investors who can invest only for certain reasons.
Yeah.
Not only the profiteers, but for the investors who want to invest, so that there should be some positive impact in the society. So that should be the second thing, to create more jobs.
Okay, I think that's very apt what you said. But then at the same time, since we're picking up on the development goals ourselves, where we say that no poverty, zero hunger, good health, well-being, quality education, let me just ask you, Qureshi Saab, do you think that all of these things are a reason for a conflict? Let's just discuss that first of all. Because, if we are to achieve these goals, that means that if you're not achieving them, the conflict is because of these things then.
Actually, when we talk about all these individual parts, yeah, to a lot of extent they are going to matter.
Exactly, because there are inequality, within the goals they say inequalities, and then sustainable cities, which means that we do not have them, decent work and economic growth, which you just pointed out, clean water and sanitation.
Yeah.
So these are the core reasons of a conflict?
These are when you talk about
Plus a
on
few
the
more.
community level, these are the core conflict reasons.
Okay.
Like when there is inequality, when you are not available with the quality education, or you are even segregated in terms of education. You have multiple levels, and
For example, for example, you're not being paid as much as any other gender is being paid. I mean, there's male and female, so most of the time females do have this, they do argue about it that, we do not get paid the same amount as well. So Cheema Saab, now, picking up on this one, we all agreed that, all these are the core reasons for conflicts. Now, how do we achieve them? What ways forward do you have, that, okay, this is something which we can do? How, first of all, starting from no poverty, this is the first goal.
Well,
How
what-
can we do that?
How,
Is it achievable? Let's be honest.
Let me talk about them. I think the Sustainable Development Goals, this is a kind of a social contract among 193 nations
Okay.
around the globe. Before Sustainable Development Goals, there was Millennium Development Goals from 2000 to 2015. Now I think the world is moving towards the second phase of this sustainable development, and we have achieved there. Where I believe peace can be, and all the 17 these sustainable goals revolve around two goals among these.
Okay, what are those?
The number one is the inequality.
Okay.
Everything is touched to the inequality. Second thing is that the solution is there. If you just go for peace, justice, and strong institutions give you a fair deal. Everyone, for instance, if I just believe that the institutions are strong, institutions are delivering, people are getting justice, or people are getting a fair deal or fair share into the structure, and there is no inequality. So you have inequality, reduce inequality, and you have strong institutions. With that, everything will be covered. So we will have to see that with all these two, the goals which I'm talking about, we will have to look at each of our society, how our society is moving.
Yeah.
So if the inequality is reducing or the institutions are getting strengthened, so that would be the measurement or the yardstick that will help us to understand or to measure whether we are moving towards the right direction. And all of these panelists who are sitting with me, including you, we can better judge where we are moving to.
So let's start judging then. I mean, this is what we are here for, whether we are on that way, whether we are on that path as well, whether we are succeeding or not. So, okay, our institutions are getting stronger? I'm just asking.
We need to work.
Now say
we
yes
need
or
to
no.
do-
That's how we are supposed
Yes,
to
I would
calibrate.
say yes.
Yes,
The
I
institutions
would
are
say
getting
Yes, they
You
are
will
better,
say
they
yes.
are better than before.
Yeah.
Better
They're
than before.
surely.
Yes, they are. We still need to do a lot more work, but they are getting better.
Okay.
And I would like to add a little bit about reducing poverty. Poverty is not really the core issue or one of the core issues. Poverty is more like a symptom of a lot of issues. There are no jobs, so that's why there's poverty. People are not empowered, that's why there's poverty. So if we try and look at what are the reasons that lead to poverty,
Okay.
and start eradicating each or taking care of each and every issue,
Okay, so then
that
okay.
is when poverty
I will pick up
end.
on poverty as well. Now, for example, if there are no jobs, if you do not have food to eat, if you do not have sufficient amount of money to probably have a shelter on your own head as well, that means that street crime is going to rise. That means that people are going to kill their kids more and more. That means that there are going to be other different crimes within the community, and this will disturb the peace.
Yeah.
Now, Bashir Sahab very rightly said that, we need foreign investors, entrepreneurs, they're going to come and build up. But once, we have those startups, what happens is that people like Bashir Sahab, who has been on my show, will call me, for example, if I'm a businessman. Dude, my son just graduated. Why don't you just, give him a job?
Right.
How do we get rid of that? That is what is inequality, social inequality, right?
Yes.
So now, Bashir Sahab, do you have a solution for that?
I
Are
have.
you going to call me?
I have some suggestion. You see, we have to segregate between the rural requirements
Yeah.
and the urban.
Differentiate will be a better
Yeah,
word.
we have to differentiate the two different requirements.
Exactly.
In the rural area, where the majority of the youth, you have 60% youth in the country.
Exactly.
So then this means that the majority of the youth is in the rural. And then in the rural, you have to see what is the level of the education.
Okay.
So what is the education level, at the same time, how we can engage them.
Okay.
I would say the foreign investor is something different.
Okay.
Even within the country, the social entrepreneur, I said, the one who has got ideas, on the other side who has got the money. So if they combine hand, but again, they will not, till such time some civil society comes in, pursue them, and bring them to the level where they take some act. And this is how you create job, engage the youth, and then once they are engaged, they are busy, you'll see the good results.
And everything is not for the government to be done as well.
No,
I think we need
no.
to play our role. So
Nowhere in the world.
Yeah, Qureshi Sahab.
Nowhere in the world.
Exactly.
I want to second Bashir Saab, and actually education model works in a very powerful way. I have been involved in a couple of projects with the rural areas, like we started empowering teachers, and we went to southern Punjab and those areas where teachers are not empowered.
Okay.
So when we train the teachers, the first thing is peace is related to tolerance and empathy. If we have ability to listen to others, that brings down the temperature. So when we train those teachers, we normally tell them that, from the very early age, we need to teach our children what is empathy
Okay.
and what is tolerance. I had been to one school in United States, and it was lovely to see that every wall was having one sign, sort of a notice, that there is zero tolerance for hatred.
Okay.
And that is the grooming that we do from the start, from the beginning. So the powerful education models do focus on the peace. Now we have the national curriculum,
Yeah.
and our national curriculum focuses on that. And I quote, I just need a couple of seconds to explain. I quote few countries who are enjoying peace. Like we have Finland, which is #1 in the world, one of the finest countries, because their education model is very strong, and these things are taught at very grassroots level.
Exactly.
So they are peaceful. Singapore, which was suffering from more or less the same in early 60s and 70s, they decided to build their thoughtful nation.
Exactly.
So they started investing in education sector. They started growing their teachers as thoughtful and rational thinkers,
Empowered them.
empowered them.
Yes.
So today, and amazingly, if you look at the statistical data, the day Singapore started pumping in billion of dollars in their education sector, their crime rate started decreasing.
Okay.
And today, when Singapore is at #2 in the world, that is one of the most safest countries in the world. So it is, yeah, we agree that this is multifaceted. We talk about poverty, we talk about clean water and all
Yeah.
that. But above that, this is related to realizing and self-realization that whether we are heading to the
Okay,
right
so
side.
now you've given very apt examples. You've talked about Singapore, you've talked about Finland. I'll agree to that. But now here we are. It's Pakistan.
yeah.
It's International Peace Day. We'll talk about ourselves. How will
Yeah.
we get better? And that's the way to go as well. But now, for all those education models which you talked about,
Yeah.
they're for the rich and famous again. I'm sorry to say it. That is not inclusive. We have not been able to provide inclusive education within Pakistan right now for somebody who cannot walk or probably is a special child, cannot go to the normal school. How are we going to achieve peace? It's going to be such a big thing for all of us to achieve.
When we talk about this part, that how we can achieve this thing in Pakistan,
Yeah.
related to education, the very first thing that we need is strong legislation. We need more and more legislation in education and in health. Yeah, we have a lot of articles in our constitution, but that is not enough. So when we are trying to when we are actually talking about the quality education, quality education cannot be actually left on the discretion of social sector.
Okay.
Or I mean on the private sector.
Okay.
This is the responsibility of the government, and government is trying. I have been I had
mean, they're
meeting with
doing
a
a great
couple
job.
of people.
I
They are
mean,
doing
obviously.
it. They are trying their best. Like they are trying to bring that knowledge corridor.
Exactly,
in Pakistan
and
these
then
days,
HCC has got their incubation center as well. They're working.
They are trying.
helping the new startups as well. But there's one very interesting thing which I wanted to ask, and that thing is probably we need to go for a short break. I think there's a breaking news as well, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back because today we're talking about peace, and we're talking about it very peacefully. Good morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For everybody who just tuned into PTY, you're watching World This Morning alongside Shahzad Khan. Today is the International Peace Day, and we are in conversation with our very apt guests, who are none other than Ms. Maliha Hussain, Mr. Bashir Malik, Umair Qureshi Saab, and Qamar Cheema Saab. And earlier we were discussing all of those sustainable development goals, how to achieve them, how to go about them. But Qureshi Saab very rightly, I don't know whether it was very rightly said or not, but he said that legislation needs to play a very pivotal role in context with the education. Now, Cheema Saab, what does legislation have to do with education? I mean, it's a fundamental right. I know it by birth. Actually, somebody told me that it's your right. That's why I know it.
Definitely, that's the right. The Article 25 of the Pakistan Constitution says on that. I think 25A perhaps, and says about the education. We have to have education, but as my friend was talking, that we have to have the regulation mechanism. We have to have the articles regarding the private sector, what they're doing. I think the public sector is not reaching out to the people, so that's why we have a private sector, and we just cannot have a cap, or we just cannot control the private sector, because private sector operates as per the liberal economy to which we are a part, globally connected. So if you just if you just try to cap the liberal, the private sector, all the international institutions to whom the regimes to whom which we are attached, be it the WTO, IMF, or whatever, World Bank, they will start pushing us that what you are doing to your private sector. So there will be hue and cry. So I think. For that, all that legislation, what you need, that we need to give to the people so that the people have more access to the education. I think the government needs to pour more money into the public institutions so that ultimately at the end of the day, the private sector's need must be reduced, because at the end of the day, there's no other way. You just cannot cap the private sector. That's the point.
But is it pouring more money which is going to help us, or is it like restructuring the entire syllabi, or probably...
That's the other thing. That's the other thing. We have, for instance, we have a curriculum. Now, for example, there are 2-3 streams we have. We have public sector, we have private sector, we have madrasa, some say the military, the other having their own institutions, they may come into the public sector as well. But I think all these 3 streams with a different curriculum, they're sending different kind of breeds into the society, and you are studied from public, I am from private, and he's from madrasa. We just cannot connect on any single dot. That's not possible. That's not possible. So that for that, I think the government needs to come into the rescue of the public. They need to come up. There must be a 12 years broad-based education where everyone from the society needs to study similar syllabi, so everyone from that understands that what is the debate, and we run the same sheet at the end of the day.
Exactly.
I would like to add one thing, and second, Cheema Saab, it's not difficult. It's not difficult what to legislate. Now, number one, we need to lift the social status of educators and teachers, because without lifting their social status and without giving them respect.
Your own profession.
If you are not respected in your profession and you are not respected by the society, you won't do it from heart.
And then there won't be any peace as well.
Yeah.
So you're fighting dude, what are you doing?
So government can do legislation on the things which doesn't need any money. I mean, if you add one article, say, I've just supposed that you add one article that these privileges will be given to the people who join education profession. So you'll be getting the cream. Secondly, the most important thing is knowing that what our national curriculum says. This is unfortunate that we have national curriculum and it is a state-of-the-art document.
What does it say?
It says that all nations, all generations must be thoughtful, and all the teaching must be based on constructivism.
So how come we never knew about it?
I don't know. With the important thing is the problem, the dilemma is that when we talk to the teachers, we say, what is your national curriculum? They present their textbook. Now, textbook is just a reference book. And amazingly, if you start focusing on only the national curriculum of Pakistan, I believe there will be a lot of change. So legislation must be done to ensure that our teachers are not teaching the textbook, but the curriculum.
And the curriculums there. I think that's a very valid point as well. But now at the same time, Bashir Saab and Ma'am Maliha, now the thing is that for all of these sustainable development goals or all of those Millennium Development Goals, I think they should have inculcated all of these goals within our textbooks as well, or probably at a platform or at a forum where, there's a better footfall. Everybody goes into that library or probably within those schools where, you know, there's massive population of kids as well. But I have never ever seen all of these things or goals anywhere else. I mean, they're just on YouTube, probably in a video or on an article or somewhere else.
This
That's it.
means then goals are for whom? For the people to achieve.
Yeah, and they just
They
do not
don't know
know
it.
that we
So,
have these goals.
Yeah, it's a collective effort. You have to bring those who they are. Let's say you have 5 or 10% population who knows all about.
Yeah.
But the rest of the 90% or 80%, 70%, they don't know about it.
Okay.
So the goals are for them. So we have to engage them. I will just add one more thing. Education, health, and then there's one goal: sustainable cities.
Yeah, exactly. Communities.
Sustainable cities is what? We've talked about a lot about the low-cost housing, but then low-cost housing, again, the price is not for the one who is vendor on the street. So if you are able to produce, we are short of around 6-7 million houses.
Okay.
So once again the private sector comes in, civil society pursue them to come up with a plan where they should have a smaller cities, rather satellite cities around the bigger cities, but these houses are small, the houses are built there, slums are removed, people are taken there, they come every day again to work on the same shop but through a bus. Why I'm saying this? Whatever you do in the slums, you tell them how to live, health and hygiene, they will not understand.
Exactly.
The moment you give them just half a room, a clean, nice room, and a washroom, and then you teach him, he will immediately understand, oh, this is it.
Exactly.
So those smaller houses and sustainable cities, satellite cities around the bigger cities is the solution. Remove the slums. Same goes in the rural area.
Okay, very nice, and that's a very good example as well. I mean, we obviously learn practically very well then, other than the books itself or themselves. But then at the same time, ma'am, now since you're a human rights activist as well, I'm very surprised, and I don't know whether, I think it's very unfortunate of all of those people who came up with these sustainable development goals, because of the fact that they talked about inequalities, but they didn't talk about human rights violation. Now, human rights violation is one of those things which everybody should have talked about, that, you know, I mean, we know where human rights violations are going on, and we do not
Yes.
have it as a sustainable development goal to stop these violations. Why?
It can be
That's a
somehow
lamhai
linked
fikri
with,
hai.
yes, it can be somehow linked with inequalities, because we have so many inequalities in our
They
society.
say reduced inequality.
Reduced-
Now, they are being very tricky on that as well.
Yes, because a lot of people's interests are involved, so
Exactly.
how to put it down. But you know, the inequalities between educated and uneducated, the haves and have-nots, the people, the feudal system, that mindset, it is very important to look at those and try and remove those. Unfortunately or fortunately, we have a lot of the upper class, the feudal people with the feudal mindset, at least in our parliament, even a lot of them in our bureaucracy, and it's not in their interest to let go of the, you know, the
Ego.
I don't know.
Probably.
acres and acres of lands that they hold. But bringing equality is important. Some people will have to let go of, you know, the tons of
They'll have to
stuff
play
that they
their role,
have, and try and distribute it, give it to those people who are working on your lands. If they have their own piece of land, they will definitely work a lot harder, and they will be more empowered. Empowering people is very important, whether it's removing inequalities or getting rid of poverty. When you empower people, when you tell them what their rights are, and give them opportunities so that they can exercise their rights, a strong democracy is very important.
Exactly.
That is when people start working for themselves and for their communities, because we can't really expect the government to do everything.
Okay. And we need to play our role. I mean, the private sector-
Everybody,
I would add in
everybody
that-
needs
Sure.
to play their role.
I would add in that
Sure, sir.
that inequality and human rights, and as Malia said, that the bigger chunk of land is owned by the big lords,
The-
and that should be distributed rather.
Which
it's
is
a bit
inherited.
difficult. It's rather a bit difficult, and it's going on for last more than 70, I don't know how many years it will
Since
take
the time
more.
the country's
but
born.
then it's on, then it's government decision, a lot of other things. The easy thing is, the state has resource.
Yeah.
That resource is to be distributed, if not equally, at least with certain priorities.
Okay.
If the safe drinking water is not available in the cities, slums, and then the rural area, maybe then the priority of some other big projects or some investing somewhere else is not required.
Okay. So we need to prioritize.
Yeah,
that's
the
a good
priority. The resource, the state resource is to spend, if not equally, with certain priorities.
Okay.
So if the priority is the safe drinking water,
Education,
education,
health, basic needs.
but health should be first.
Yeah.
He has to be fit to
Exactly.
do other things.
I think that's a good point as well, but since we are left with only last 3-4 minutes, now the only thing where I want to bring it down, the bottleneck is that to bring peace and to eradicate inequality and to give education and to be very careful with all of those other development goals, I think you need to be contented and composed.
Yeah.
How many of you will agree to that? Because, for example, if I have this phone, it works fine. And even if the iPhone 7 is out or probably iPhone 20 is out, if this phone works fine, I think I'll go buy this phone. I do not need to go buy another cell phone, waste money on that. Probably I can help somebody else. So if anybody is going to have this contentment and composure within their own selves, I think we'll be a peaceful nation. We are, though. But then at times, there are
We need
those
to get
landlords
better.
as well. There are other people who cannot let go of their egos as well. So how do we find a resolve for ourselves? I'll start from Chima sir.
I think all that will come from inside. You just
That's
kinda-
where it all starts from.
Yeah, from that will start. And for that, I think one must be economically self-sufficient, economically strong. That will bring definitely. If you are more economically strong, you are more secure, and you more go into the isolation because you feel that I am the one who is satisfied. So I think that economic self-sufficiency is very much there, and the government and with all these sustainable development goals that have been because of the United Nations, I think that goals must be achieved, and the state and the society and everyone must work for that.
Very nice. Qureshi sir.
I would like to add one thing, that this starts from your inner side. We do not need to throw everything on the shoulder
They're
of the
doing
state. So we are a wonderful nation, like we do a lot of charity, but I think this is a time that we need to start empowering people.
Exactly.
We'll need to do less charity if we are going to do to empower more people. So everybody, if you are good in your area, if I am good in my area, I need to give back to my society. Adding values back to the society matters a lot, and the nations who grow and enjoying peace, they are enjoying peace because they know that we have to give back to the community as well.
And there's peace within the community as well. Bashir sir.
I've traveled whole the world.
MashaAllah.
Pakistan is a great nation.
It is.
We should be proud of it. What we are, where we are, as we are, at the same time, to achieve all that, again I will say, a civil society has a great role to play collectively
Exactly.
to achieve that.
Very nice.
Involve everybody.
Amazing. Ma'am.
I think I would say that Millennium Goals are good. We need to work on them, but how do we work on them is important. I think if we reconnect with our history, we have centuries old history, and we have always been a very peaceful nation. People living on this land have coexisted here in peace. We need to reconnect with how we lived here, and with all of that, start working on these goals, looking at ourselves, our families, respecting our children, and respecting people of different faiths in our communities, considering them equal citizens of
Having
Pakistan.
tolerance, patience, contentment,
All
composure.
of that, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, ma'am, for coming over. It was indeed a great day for me. I mean, I've learned quite a lot. But ladies and gentlemen, before going, the only thing which I would suggest to the government, what they can do is probably make good use of social media, print media, and television as well, because of the fact that quite a lot of people whomever I've asked that, do you know about the Sustainable Development Goals? And they're like, So I think we need to play hand in hand. And if you know that what are the Sustainable Development Goals, obviously you need to tell us as well. We are your population, we are your people, we are your nation. And, whatever lies on my shoulder, whatever my responsibility is, this is what I try to do. I want to fulfill it. Obviously, we disseminate information. But then at the same time, before logging off, ladies and gentlemen, the key points which we have figured out by the end, and to achieve peace, legislation, number one, is very important, which our panelists said. Institutions need to be stronger. We need to get rid of inequality. Then the justice needs to be there as well. Obviously, inequality goes outside and justice comes in. Okay, and then we have to prioritize. That's it. So whatever way I mean, come on, my producer just wants me to log off. So whatever way, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to prioritize, I think it's going to make our lives better. But remember, contentment and composure are the keywords. Don't forget to write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. On Daily Motion and YouTube, it's World This Morning. Once again, the fabulous repeat is going to be at 11 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, look after yourself, be peaceful, stay resolved. 1, 2, 3, good morning. Thank you.